All right, guys, in this one, I want to go over the most tanky slash unkillable builds you can play on your hunter right now in the game. I've been seeing a lot of you comment recently that you want a Revenant focused build, so I wanted to deliver that, and I think this is probably the best setup you can play with it. This is going to be very good for both normal and in-game content, and the build is a lot of fun. If you want to be able to throw grenades everywhere on your hunter alongside that getting a lot of damage resistance, this is 100% the build you need to try out, and I really think you all are going to enjoy it. Now, personally, I do not think this is the best hunter build in the game by any means, but it is a very good option if you do want to play stasis, and if you are just a Revenant fan, you're going to love it. All right, so just jump right into it. The exotic we need to go over first is Renewal Grass. These are a stasis focused exotic that has the exotic perk Depths of Duskfield. Your Duskfield grenades have a much larger effect radius. Allies inside the Duskfield take reduced damage, and targets in the area deal reduced damage. So let's just take a look at the first part of the exotic here, where your Duskfields are going to have a much larger radius. So if we just take this off, we go over here and we'll throw, this is the normal Duskfield size. You see, it's a pretty, effective radius, but it's nothing crazy. But now if we actually equip the Renewal Grass and come over here and throw the grenade, you're going to see that it is a much larger radius. As you see, it's going to take up the little area over here, and it's going to spawn a little crystal in the middle. So you can definitely get slowed in there a lot easier. Now, that's actually not where it ends. If we take a look at our fragments, we have a fragment that can also increase this as well. The fragment called Touch of Winter basically is going to buff all your stasis grenades. Specifically, the Duskfield is going to increase the slow field size, and it's going to make a stasis upon impact. So this does pretty much the exact same thing as the first part of Renewal Grass, but the cool thing is that this does stack. You will spawn a bigger stasis crystal, and the Duskfield radius will also be a lot bigger. So if we have everything equipped to throw it, you will see that the crystal is actually huge, and that the radius is even more over here towards the left, and it's taking up a lot on the right side as well. So this is a huge area of effect right here, and it's just by throwing one grenade. But now, since we're on the topic of aspects, the fragments of this build is going to heavily play into how much more effective this build can actually be. So we already went over Touch of Winter, but we do also have the aspect called Grim Harvest. So this is going to make it whenever I defeat a slowed or frozen target, I will spawn a stasis shard. The good thing is that obviously the Duskfield and the crystal that it can spawn will freeze and slow enemies, which means you're always going to be spawning these crystals all the time, which is going to play heavily into this build. Now for fragments, Whisper of Endurance is a no-brainer. This is basically going to make your slow abilities last longer. It's going to improve your Duskfield even more than what you're already doing with all your other exotics and aspects. Not only are you adding more slow stacks, the Duskfield is also going to have a little bit more time to stay up, to freeze enemies, and also to let you get another one back. Now I'm also going to be running Whisper of Shards, so whenever I shatter a stasis crystal, it will actually boost my grenade recharge rate. So since the Duskfield is automatically going to spawn a stasis shard, a cool thing you can do is just to make sure you shoot that stasis crystal so you start to get your grenade back. Now at 100 discipline, your grenade will have a 24-second cooldown rate, and this is at an additional 5 seconds. As you see, it pretty much got around 30%. This is going to improve even better once we get into some of our mods, but I just wanted to go and show that off. Now I'm also going to be running Whisper of Change, so this is going to make it when you're near a frozen target or a stasis crystal, you take reduced damage. Since the exotic is all about taking reduced damage when you're inside the Duskfield area itself, you're also going to be spawning that crystal, which will also give you a damage reduction. All of that combined together, you do get resist ×3, which is a 40% damage reduction in PvE, and you can obviously stack that with things like resilience to give you an additional 40%, and you can become essentially unkillable. You become very, very tanky. The other cool part is that if you do have the Duskfield active and enemies are inside that bubble, every time they're in that bubble, not only are they slowed, they're also doing reduced damage, and you're taking reduced damage. So it is just crazy easy to survive if you have these equipped. Another cool thing you can do with these is the fact that you do have the ability to throw these on a boss or your teammates. If you throw it on your teammates, obviously in a DPS scenario, they take reduced damage. If you pop that in a well, you're pretty much going to be unkillable. But also, if you throw these on a boss, that means you're going to be able to constantly freeze the enemy, which causes shadow damage, which is, a good additional bit of damage. But that boss is also going to do less damage to you as well. And again, if you're in a wall of radiance and the boss is doing less damage, you can pretty much be unkillable and doing a little bit extra damage to the boss. So it's very beneficial to just throw these on any boss encounter, just to add some extra damage and make them do less damage. Now the next fragment, I do run Whisper of Torment, so whenever I take damage, I gain some grenade energy. Since you're going to be taking damage all the time, since you're never going to die, you're always going to be refunding that grenade energy to throw another one down so you can become even more tanky. And then finally, I do like to run Whisper of Conduction, so whenever I create a stasis shard, they will actually track to my position, and it does give you some additional stats like resilience, which is nice for survivability as well. Picking up the stasis shards is going to not only give you more melee energy, but like I said earlier, it will play into our mods, but this will also allow you to constantly just throw your melee out no matter really what your strength is, and you're going to be able to constantly spawn these shards everywhere pretty much on demand, and it is just very, very synergistic. And then for my dodge, I do just like to run marksman dodge just so I can reload my gun in any PvE scenario. So with all that combined together, let's say if there's like a plate right here you need to stand on, or just you're running from enemies, you can just throw your grenade down. You have ×3 resistance. Anything that comes in here is going to be slowed and takes reduced damage, and you can literally just see how big this area is. You have so much room to play in it, and you can always remember to shoot that crystal before it goes down. You're going to get that ability regeneration back, and the build gets even better from here when we get to our mods, and it's going to let you have pretty much 100% uptime on that grenade, so you can always have one. I mean, even right now, it's already back to half energy. So before we get into the mods, weapons with this build, you can kind of run whatever that's meta. Aegis Scepter is a great option to pair with it, because the Revenant Super is not terrible. It is very good to get that shatter damage on bosses if you do need to. But overall, this can kind of make your Revenant Super a little bit more useful because you can just act clear with it like crazy. But even if you just want to run something like Arbalest or Wish Ender just for champions, you could do that as well. You do not need to run this, but obviously running it is going to be really good. I would highly recommend running a weapon with Demolitionist on it, because this is going to make you get your grenade back even faster. The Tarnished Metal with Demolitionist and Volt Shot, it to me is one of the best ad clearing weapons in the game. Not only does it get your grenade back super fast, you also can just kill everything with Volt Shot. You don't need to be on the Arc subclass to make Volt Shot work for you. It's good on its own. And finally, whatever heavy weapon that's good for DPS in the current meta, I would definitely recommend running that. Now, first things first, we need to go over our mod Elemental Shards. So this is going to make it whenever I pick up a Stasis Crystal, it will count as an Elemental Well for me. This is good playing into some of our other mods, and on top of that, you also will get Elemental Well energy back since it is counting as a Stasis Elemental Well. So you're basically just getting a little bit of your energy back and not just only melee energy, which is very nice. Now, we're also going to be running Elemental Charge. So whenever we pick up a Elemental Well that matches a subclass type, we will get 2 stacks of Charge Light. Since our Stasis Elemental Wells we're picking up, we're going to get 2 stacks of Charge Light all the time with this build, because again, all you have to do to get a Stasis Shard is to kill a slow to frozen enemy, which we will be doing 24/7, and we will always be spawning these shards, which means we will always be Charge Your Light. So those two mods paired together are obviously extremely synergistic, and then to take advantage of that, I'm going to be running the mod Firepower. So this is a mod when I'm Charge Your Light, I will regain a portion of my grenade when I throw it, consuming 1 stack of Charge Your Light. Now, the thing to note is that this mod can't stack. So on all my other armor pieces, I'm going to have a Firepower right here and a Firepower right here. So I have 3 Firepowers, and with 3, you pretty much get 50% of your grenade energy back once you throw it. So that means you throw your grenade, you're going to get around 50% of your grenade energy back. You will then kill a slow target because the dust field does slow enemies. You will then get a shard, which will then reproc your Charge Your Light 24/7, and you will always have Firepower up at all times, which means you always have a huge slow AoE area of effect, and also the ability to just stand in it and basically not die. So I want to show this off to you really quick. I went up and got a kill with my melee since it does slow enemies, and now I'm Charge Your Light. If you throw your grenade, you're essentially have half your grenade energy back, but then you can also shoot this crystal, and within that 5 seconds of that improved ability generation, you're going to see that you get around 80% of your grenade back right there. So you have a little bit more to top off, and now your dust field went away. So you can play around that, and you can essentially just make it to where you're going to have infinite grenades. Obviously, again, pairing a gun with Demolitionist with this makes it even easier because it's so easy to get that energy top back off to full. So like I said, we come up here, we can throw our dust field, we can actually pop this crystal to kill everything. We're now going to get these Stasis Shards, and you can already see we're literally still have this dust field active, and we're still in it taking this reduced damage, and we can already throw another one. You know, if you want to go in and shoot the crystal right here, you absolutely could get that grenade corner rate, but if you need that damage reduction, make sure you keep it up until the dust field's about to go away. And you see, you can just always have a dust field 24/7, which is pretty much always 40% damage reduction. It is very, very strong. Now, like I said earlier, this will pair with your resilience, so be sure to get 100 resilience with this build, and I would definitely recommend 100 discipline. Pairing that with everything, it just lets you spam them around like crazy. Now, there are other mods in the build that I would recommend taking, things like a Harmonic Siphon. So if you are running Aegis Scepter, you will spawn an overpower on multi-kills. You can then take advantage of that with things like recuperation and innervation. The recuperation is good for survivability because you'll get some health when you pick up an overpower. Then innervation will also give you some grenade energy. So basically, this gun kind of has Demolitionist on it in a way if you are pairing those mods together. I also do run a Bomber to get some grenade energy back when I dodge if I do need it, and I like to run the mod Healthy Finisher. So this is going to make it when I finish an enemy, it will actually heal me almost to full and start health regeneration, and it only requires 1/10 of my super energy. Again, Revenant is not the best super in the game, so being able just to have an on-demand heal and it only requires 1/10 of super energy, which is going to be extremely easy to get back anyway, I think this is a very strong mod to slot in, especially playing into that damage reduction role. So if you do need to just run up, get a finisher, together, get some health back, run back to your dust field, you're going to be extremely safe. And I would say this is a in-game build, so you can pretty much take whatever champion mods you want to. You should have room to slot them in. Then obviously be sure to take some damage reduction mods, because you want as much damage reduction as possible so you could just be tanky and live forever. But that's pretty much going to do it for the build. Like I said earlier, this is for sure not the best in-game hunter build in the game. Arc 3.0 hunters are extremely strong. Night Stalkers are extremely strong. Honestly, all the hunter builds are extremely strong, including this one. There are some that just outperform a little bit better, but if you are in any activity that requires stasis, or maybe has like stasis Singe active, this could be a very, very good and very fun option for you. And the cool thing to note is that the damage reduction also does apply to your teammates. So this is also in a way a kind of supportive build as well. If they're standing in that dust field, they will get a ×2 damage resistance. They won't get ×3 unless they are running stasis with that fragment. But even with ×2, that's still going to be a hefty amount of damage resistance, pairing that with 100 resilience, and you can pretty much just tank everything. It's very fun. It's very effective. I would highly recommend you all give it a try. And if you want to, I will have a dim link to this build in the description of this video. And if you guys did enjoy this, want to see more content just like it, consider subscribing, drop a like, and turn those notifications on. Also, if you'd like to join the Discord or follow me on any of my socials, all that will be linked in the description as well. But just know that watching this video is way more than enough, and that every single bit of support from y'all is truly appreciated. Thank you all so much for watching this one, and have a great day. Peace.